number to follow. You may be seated. Sometimes you wish you were just a little younger. I can't tell. But my voice is gone. I have a voice, but it took away from me. But when I heard him this afternoon, I tell you, it's such a blessing. Such a blessing. I'll say it again. A hard number to follow. As I approached the podium, I looked and saw, I guess, the children of Israel. Because just looking at the little kids and knowing that they're here, to make our race go on and on and on. And I want the little bitty ones that can just say a word or two to get up. And I want them to sing a little song together, because someone's already mentioned the fact that the brethren should come together. And if the little ones, say from the age of 8 down, will you stand where you are? Now I want you to listen carefully, because I want you to sing this little song. I'm going to sing it for you in the beginning, but it will let me know how well you pay attention in nursery school and beginning school. And the song says, the more we get together, 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 the more we get together, the happier we'll be. And that is so true. We come here this afternoon and I'm just having a good time. Just sitting enjoying all the things that we just do. The voice, the thing that the servant of the getting the roads ready. And people on the government that can come and say things to us and real that. And people who can play music and stuff. All right, are you ready now? The little one's standing. All right, now when I say together, you go down. But you don't come up until I say together again. But listen now, because it might be the next word. Are you ready? All right. The more we get together, together, together. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. Point to your friend now. For your friends are my friends, and my friends are your friends. You see me make that mistake? The more we get together, the happy we'll be. Together, 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 together. The more we get together, the happy we'll be. Oh, wasn't that beautiful? I didn't see you make a mistake, but I made one, because I did the wrong thing on together one time. I come before you, and I come with a bit of anxiety, but I had a friend, and I used to say to her all the time when I saw her, can you hear me? Am I clear? Okay. I used to say to her, be not anxious. But I didn't know it was going to come to me tonight to say the same thing to myself. I'm a bit anxious. Of course, Bishop Brother came out here and made it hard for me to get up. Because I said that's a hard number to follow. But the good book says, be not anxious, but in everything, through prayer and supplication, be known to God. And the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will keep your mind and heart through Christ Jesus. So I'm ready now. I've already consulted him that I should come before you. If I were to be asked to what my text would be, I probably would tell you my task. And a task is really a job that you're given. Girls and boys, you are to be given a task. When you were conceived, God gave you a task. And he puts it clearly in front of you every now and then so you can see what that task is. Now, the first task, you know, is a task of minding who he gave you to. One of the little things about us, girls and boys, is that your parents call you sometimes. They get the right name, and you just sit there and don't say anything. Am I asking you too much from this day forward, all these 100 in here, when your parents call you, will you just answer? Say, I'm here, or I'm coming, or what do you want, Mom, or what do you want, Dad? That's the beginning of your task. God assigns you a task to recognize your parents, because that is the one of the 10 commandments that gives you something for doing something, because it says, honor your parents, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. You know, I just learned the other day that I was still minding my mother to the nth degree when at age 28 I asked her, could I go to the movie on Sunday? Well, I had seen this guy come by the house. This boy's dad. Where is he? There he is over there. And he would come on a Sunday evening. Oh, it was so hot. But do you know he had on a collar and tie? And I guess he knew what I liked. That impressed me. So I said, oh my, somebody like that, I imagine I could live with. So I did for 49 years and 1 month. After we met and married. But girls and boys, I start from conception now. And ask you if right in the beginning you will start obeying your parents. Because I want you to say this one Bible verse after I say it. Listen carefully now. Obedience is greater than sacrifice. Are you ready to say it with me now? Obedience is greater than sacrifice. Tonight, while I was being interviewed, the last question the interviewer asked me was, what do you say we can do to keep our boys and girls intact and in school? And I said, well, one of the things I would suggest that you would ask the parents to still be the parents and not let the children mind us. And now we have to mind the children. You go to the bottom of the thing when you're trying to fix it. And then when a message is sent home from school, it would be wise if you would take the word of the teacher. I doubt there is 1% of the teachers who rely on the children. I doubt it. And when they send a message home that this is out of whack, parents, please pay attention to it. We need to keep our boys and girls educated. One of the things I learned from the picture was that one of the things that we were not allowed to do in slavery was to learn to read. Some of you don't even feel like it's so important to read, but it is. And when your parents tell you, turn off the television for a while and get a book and read, please do that. When your parents tell you what to do, they've been along that road. And they know what it is to come along that road. They know what you should do that will work out right. I'd like to tell you something that my mom said to me early on. And when the people in the community learned that I could sing, they would always have me on program. And so I says to my mom, I got to sing tonight, but I'm going to sing 2 verses. I'm not going to sing 3 verses. She said, oh, please sing all 3 verses. I said, why? She said, it tells the whole story. I don't know what happened after then. I don't even want to tell you, but I know why. Whenever my mom said something, I did that. And so I didn't learn till here lately that it was important to know that 1 verse, or sing that 1 verse. And so I was singing along one day recently, just humming along in my mind, and the song goes like this: to love someone more dearly every day, to help a wandering child to find his way. And when you say child, you mean anybody wandering out there, old or young or whatever. To help a wanderer to find his way, to ponder over a noble thought and pray. This is my task. Not only mine, not only the young children, but it's all of our task to do that. And then the 2nd verse is the verse that Mom always wanted me to sing. Oh, I didn't think that was important. Let's go and sing that last verse and get it over with. But the 2nd verse says, to long for truth as blind men long for light, to do my work from dawn of day till night, to ponder over a noble thought and pray. And then it goes on to say, after say long for truth as blind men long for life. I didn't think about that verse until here lately. I got glaucoma in both eyes, and I got cataracts in both eyes. And do you know that verse meant something to me? I said, well, my goodness, that verse is really important verse. So I can understand why my mom said sing that 2nd verse too. But the last verse says, and then my Savior by and by to meet, when faith has made its task on earth complete, and I'll lay my homage at the Master's feet within the jasper wall. If you mind your parents early on and do the right thing, one day he will reward you for it, and you'll be able to have some jewel to lay at his feet. So girls and boys, mind your parents. Do what they ask you to do, and then you will be able to live. It says 70, but I want to tell you something. It gets to be more than 70, because I have lived the 70, and I'm now living 18 more years on that. Now, I'm going to say this. I meant to say it from the very beginning so you could be watching me. If the man I was married to for almost a half century were here, he would say, darling, get up and be seen, speak up and be heard, sit down and be liked. So that's what I planned. But let me go a little further. Our parents carried us down the road to where they would like for us to be. And then if we have minded them, it will do good. While I'm talking about being good and doing what you're supposed to do, A story of the Bible comes to my mind. And that story is about Joshua. And most of you who go to Sunday school, go to church, go to Bible study, you know the story of Joshua. And it says Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. And the walls came tumbling down. He minded God in all his respects. And so he got the reward of the walls come tumbling down. But it said, on the way, trying to mind God and everything, one of the tribes knew that God loved Israel. And they said that they were going to do something and trick Israel. So they put on old clothes and got molded bread, and the horseshoes were unshod, the feet were unshod, and then they went there and pretended that they had come a long ways to be with them. And so Joshua thought that they were telling the truth, but they weren't. And he promised that he would be their friend. God came to him and told him, they have tried to trick you. Don't let them do that to you. So Joshua said, okay. When he talked to them, they said, but you promised you'd be our friend. So in some cases, if you can't beat them, you join them. And that's what happened in this case. Joshua let them join him. So after 5 kings that were left decided that Joshua had taken on these people, they said, what we're going to do is get together those 5 kings. So we'll get together, and we'll come, the 5 of us will get together, and we will beat him. And so they did get together. And then the Lord was so kind as to show them where they hid. Some of them that got together and hid, the 5 that hid, each one of them had something wrong with that character. And so the preacher last Sunday, Sunday before last, said that each one of them had a thing that was in their mind, and they were hid in this cave. But Joshua had to find them and cut their heads off, just like David did Goliath. One of them was grouchy. The other one had a mind of his own. The other one was gossiping. And they had 5 wrong things wrong with them. So then Joshua found the men in the cave, the kings in the caves. He cut their heads off. But when you cut a head of something off, it means that it's there no longer. So once he cut the heads off, it was there no longer. So girls and boys, when we find things that are going to be kings over us, that are not things that our parents would like, and they're not things that God would like for us to do, we'll cut those things off. And when we cut those things off, it allows us to have the amount of time for ourselves and for our parents and for whomever, so that we will not have to be grouchy or gossipy or believe in things that are not of God. And then we can use our time wisely. Sometimes we think about life and we say life has many woes. And life does have many woes. And the woes don't just find me or some other person. The woes find you. And so we must be careful that we don't let these woes outdo us. We have to turn to Ephesians and say there's a time for everything. There's a time to be born and a time to die. There's a time to love and a time to hate. There's a time to dance and a time to refrain from dancing. There's a time to embrace, and there's a time to refrain from embracing. So these are the things we have to hunt through the Bible and find these things. I have found them on my page. Thank you. it's a time to get and a time to lose. It's a time to keep and a time to cast away. There's a time to rend and a time to sow. There's a time to keep silent and there's a time to speak. There's a time for war and a time for peace. He gave all of this. God gave all of this and more to Solomon. Because Solomon was the man that God said to him, because you do not ask, I will give you even more than you could think to ask. And so he said to him, I'm going to make you the wisest man of this time and always. And so Solomon became the man of that time and always. He gave all of this and more to Solomon, the wisest man ever would be, or the wisest man ever has been. When you're getting low in spirit and your head is hanging low, try comforting yourself with a poem like Invictus. Try comforting yourself with a poem like Invictus. And the poem says, out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever God may be for my unconquerable soul. Beyond this place of wrath and tears, looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years find and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. And my teacher taught me to say, and she was all right. It was all right because I learned it that way. But life taught me something else. My teacher taught me to say, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. But in these later years, I've learned that God is the master of my fate. God is the captain of my soul. I leave you with this. Don't ever get bitter, get better. Time is a precious commodity. You can't bring back yesterday no matter how you try. So use today as it is and make good of it. Forsake not the assembling of the brothers. I couldn't remember it a while ago. But here's what we have. The men that have